Yeah, New Zealand is my happy place. I've been in New Zealand for 25 years. And I just wanted to walk you through, I guess, the journey. In New Zealand, we talk about the number 8 Kiwi mentality. You do it yourself. You know, we're at the bottom of the earth, quite far away. I was ignorant to the entire industry that operated in the States and just went on our way with a strong vision and have just slowly built the company over the last 15 years. So I think it's a story of perseverance, of resilience, of stubbornness, of vision, of pride, determination, and belief. I've always driven the company with a very, very strong sense of purpose, and over the 15 years, we've never veered from it. Yes, there's been ups and downs along the way, but we've been very clear on what true north is, and it's really been our guiding light. It gives you clarity of what you do, and it also gives clarity of what you don't do. I believe that if you don't have a big, hairy, audacious goal, you never achieve it. So just maybe if you do set that goal, you might actually achieve it. It's a rallying cry, it's a motivation, and it's a really good signal to the team. I think a big, hairy, audacious goal, a vision, a purpose is both aspirational and inspirational. So what I'm going to walk you through is our story, just in words to start with, and at the end, I'll visually take you through where the company is and the journey with some, I guess, images and some videos. So first, a little bit about New Zealand, for those that don't know. A little bit of a side story. I got engaged between my first year and second year of business school on the West Coast. I'm originally from New York. Got engaged to a Kiwi and came back to the East Coast to an engagement party of my friend. And a lot of people didn't know where New Zealand was. And she said to me at the time, "How do you speak to him? How do you communicate?" I said, "The language of love." So New Zealand has a little under 5 million people, 4.9 million at the moment. We have more sheep than people, a ratio of 6 to 1. We're located across 2 islands. There's a coastline of about 15,000 kilometers. Now, to put that in perspective, Japan has a coastline of 30,000 kilometers with 125 million people. We've got 15,000 kilometers for 5 million people. No person is more than 130 kilometers from the coast in the country. We're far away. Our nearest other country, the Pacific Islands, Fiji, obviously, but Australia is the next major country, is 4 hours away. Asia is at least a 10-hour flight, and the States is about 12 hours. So we are truly well and isolated. That brings its benefits, and it's also its challenges, because it is a very small market, and it's not a very wealthy country. 33% of the country, or 1.5 million people, live in Auckland, which is where we're based. The next biggest town, I call it a town, is 400,000, and that's our capital. And then you go down from there. There are 1 million boats in the country, and there's 150,000 holiday homes or batches, hence Bachcare. Batch is the Kiwi word for bachelor pad. Somewhere along the way, obviously, bachelors went to their holiday home. I feel very lucky to call New Zealand home. So let's just talk about Bachcare in numbers. As it was said, I founded Bachcare in 2003. 2004 was when our website went live. So we're just hitting 15 years, your summer, our winter. We've got a little over 2,000 houses now, virtually all organic. We're in about 150 locations. We have 90 holiday managers. Those are our local agents on the ground, and I'll speak more to that later. We have about 50 full-time employees, and we do end-to-end service delivery. That's always been a part of who we are, and it's been an intentional choice, and we've never veered from it. On Facebook, we've got the largest social media presence in our category in New Zealand and probably in Australia. We've got about 92,000, a little bit over 92,000 on Facebook, a little over 30,000 on Instagram across our main Bachcare page, and then we have a Bachcare indulgence page for our nicer properties. Last year, we hosted about 150,000 guests. Our guest NPS, we measure it really carefully, is currently at about 60, and it's hit as high as 67. We're right in the middle of our busiest time, so it always goes down in the peak of the summer, but we're pretty proud of a 65 NPS. And we believe we've got the highest per capita house under management than any other company around the world as Bachcare. We're the only company in New Zealand and Australia, in Australasia, that has direct API connections into HomeAway, into Booking.com, into Airbnb, and we'll talk about how we use those channels a bit later. I guess there's a question of how do you scale and how do you go from one property all the way through to now 2,000. And we only think we're about a third of the size that we'll get to just in New Zealand, and that doesn't take into account expanding offshore. So how do you scale? For us, we believe you scale on strong sense of purpose and belief, absolute clarity of focus, dogged determination, and a very, very supportive family. I guess you can say, is it an overnight success? People look at it now, but forget about the 15 years of blood, sweat, and tears and determination. So just a little reality check. There was 5 years of absolutely no salary, 7 years of losses. The first dividend was only declared in year 10, and that's been the only dividend that's ever been declared. We tipped into loss 2 years ago as we try to build the foundations for the next phase of growth. It's a bit sobering in reality, but now we've got about 35% market share of the full service market in New Zealand, and once again, we still think we're only just getting started. We'd like to think of ourselves as startup V2. I don't really want to lose the entrepreneurial family feel of the business as we grow, so we keep reminding the team that we are a startup, 15 years on with an amazing history and heritage. Okay, so in terms of our operating model, we are quite different. It just got born from my head and what we wanted to achieve from the very beginning. We set out, it was clarity back then of, we wanted 10,000 houses by 2010, earning $10 million. We lost, well and truly lost on the 10,000 houses. We exceeded the 10 million. And we still think we can get to 10,000 houses. Our operating model is a hub and spoke. So we have a centralized support office that's mainly based in Auckland, and we have all these holiday managers around the region. So they're not property managers. It's more about managing the experience. Yes, they are the property manager for the house, but it's much more than about the house. The support office handles anything like a hotel, like centralized reservations, marketing, sales, finance, and then our on-the-ground teams handle looking after the property. They're the hotel concierge, front desk, housekeeping, and maintenance, all wrapped in one. Our holiday managers are the one point of accountability for an owner. So we have holiday managers that manage 5 houses, and we have holiday managers that manage 70 houses. Some it's a little bit of spending money, and others it's now their income. It is predominantly females. The vast majority are females. I'd say probably 90%. But interestingly, on some recent NPS, in the top 5 on the cleaning scores, 2 of the 5 were men. So there are some stereotypes, and I did call them up just to see were they cleaning themselves or were they using a team of cleaners, and both of these guys were cleaning it themselves. So it does break some stereotypes. The holiday managers are contractors, they're not our employees, and I think probably our regulations in New Zealand are a little bit easier than the States. We're not regulated as an industry at all, and we can have non-employees in some of these roles. Tech has always been incredibly important. When you're trying to scale 10,000 houses and 150,000 guests and 90 holiday managers and a support office, you need technology to hold it together. So we've always placed a lot of emphasis on technology. In the early days, we outsourced it, but it was always bespoke systems that we've custom built, and that continues today. We took technology in-house a year ago, so we've got a tech team of about 6 to 8 at the moment, and we're spending north of 7 figures at the moment and every year going forward. We don't believe unless you control your technology, you have a future, and if you don't control your data, you don't have a future either. Our guest sales and service team, our call center is staffed 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to midnight, and we're staffed both in Auckland, and we've started putting people out in the regions because we can't find the quality of staff. It is quite hard at the moment in New Zealand finding good caliber people. The current government has put the handbrakes on a lot of the immigration. We've got some housing affordability issues going on in the country and some, I guess, well-being issues that the current Prime Minister and Labor government are trying to get more employment back to the locals and push more of the employment back into the regions. So we've got staff in about 6 or 7 different locations across the country, and we don't have any other office other than our central office in Auckland. The leadership team, we now have a leadership team. At the beginning, it was me and a management team, and like all homegrown people, we tripped, we fell, we scraped our knee, we wiped off the blood, and we carried on. We cried sometime. That got us to a certain point, and there was an inflection point about 2015, 2016, we had 50% organic growth both of those years. So we doubled the business in 2 years and came out of that just about dead. It was really, really tiring. And we didn't have enough capacity and bandwidth in the company. We've always been driven by a very strong board. And at the time, the board really said to me, I had to let go and I had to bring better, stronger people, more people around me that can help carry the load if we wanted to get it to the next level. So the board convinced me to bring in bank debt, which is the first time in our probably 12-year history that we brought in any outside funding. And that was pretty scary for me. And it was some pretty big numbers that we were bringing on board. So the bank funded us, and I negotiated no personal guarantees on a business that really doesn't have any assets other than the tech. So that was pretty cool. Most of that money went to both our tech platform and the leadership team. We had 2 goes at the leadership team. V1 didn't work, and it was really expensive. And we don't have employment at will in New Zealand, so it's actually quite hard to make changes. We brought in quite senior, experienced people, and I guess we probably were enamored that these really experienced, it was both men and women, wanted to come work for Bachcare. And I think we got enamored on, we brought in a COO at the time. Just wasn't a fit, and I think our industry is so specific and so particular. Bringing in an outsider that comes with quite formed views when the founder's not really ready to let go is really a recipe for disaster. So we had to make some changes. Our current leadership team is really strong. I've got 7 direct reports, which I'll consolidate at some point over the next year. Mostly a team of people in their early stages of their career, early 30s, mid-30s, wanting to make a difference. More than half of the team are non-Kiwi. We've got a lot of British, Serbians, Americans, but we all, I guess, passionately believe in New Zealand and what New Zealand stands for. We are profitable. We only started recently doing acquisitions again. In the last 6 months, we've done 4 acquisitions, and we've got a few more in the pipeline. Our board member, we brought in private equity about a year and a half ago just to give us extra support in case we had a bad season. As some of you know, there was a significant earthquake in Christchurch about 5 years ago and annihilated the town. A few years later, about 2 years ago, Kaikoura, there was a big earthquake in Kaikoura. That earthquake stopped a lot of the Chinese coming into New Zealand. They got scared of the shaky ground. When you have an event like that, it impacts your markets quite a bit. We never fluctuate, but if someone sneezes, we get the flu. And we wanted to just give ourselves some safety and security. I think the last few years for me has been a personal journey. I've had to let go, and I've had to stop being the micromanager and go back to being the inspiring leader so that a team around me can grow. As you grow, I think the amount of connections you have with people and the communications you have become increasingly complex and quite hard to make sure that you stay true to the original founding values and purpose. And we lost it along the way. We lost a little bit of the humanness of the business. I guess what sat for me implicitly in my heart and my head wasn't explicit enough to the team. And while there were 4 of us or 3 of us guiding the company, when you have 50 people and it's not written down and it's not codified and it's not understood, people go off on tangents. And you start hiring B people and B people start hiring C people, and then all of a sudden you lose control, and our NPS went down to about 48, and we had to make some changes. So I had to go back to what Bachcare stood for and make sure that everyone understood. And that's where brand comes in, and that's where brand becomes incredibly important. Brand, for a distributed service business where you're across 150 locations with contractors and staff, it becomes everything. So for us, brand is everything you are. It's everything you say, it's everything you do. And it's also everything that everyone else says about you as well. It's every person, it's every interaction. It's online, it's offline, it's the experience. It's the spaces you do business in, it's your relationships, and it's the stories you tell. It's an intentional design. So for us, we've been really, really purposeful and very deliberate on our brand. The current incarnation that I'll walk you through eventually, you'll see it's a lot more sophisticated and polished, but it's taken a good 3 years, myself working with a brand agency and the company to get to the point that we are now. And there's been a lot of, once again, blood, sweat, and tears, and bringing people on the journey so that they believe in it. But a powerful brand engages a team. Without your brand, you're just a commodity. And with out a brand, you're at the whim of someone else like the OTAs. We believe very strongly and passionately that we own the end-to-end guest experience. And having been an ex-management consultant, I believe that you own what's core to your business, and we've defined core as that end-to-end experience. So we are 75% direct, and we protect that and invest in our brand really strongly to achieve that. We do use the OTAs. As I said, we're the only one that has these direct connections, but we're very strategic on how we use them, which properties will allow on which channels, under what terms and conditions. And if an owner doesn't behave, we'll take them off the site. But we really do make sure that it doesn't get too big and too much a part of our brand, of our distribution channels. So I guess, what is our brand? Our brand, the essence of the brand is find your happy place. I'll show you later on a picture. Everyone's happy place is different. For some people, it's luxury. For some, it's basic. For some, your need state changes. So one time you may want luxury. You might want a romantic retreat. If you're going away with your kids, you might want something quite basic. If you're going away with a group of friends, you want something a little bit more special. But everyone can find their happy place. The happy place is both a physicality and an emotion. It's a journey and a place. So it's obviously the house is our physical product, but it's also a journey of helping people find their happy place. And when they're in their happy place, they have to take responsibility as well. We can provide the house, but the experience they have is theirs to own, and we want to take them on that journey. It's a really good way to engage our owners that their happy place is someone else's happy place, because probably like a lot of you, we've struggled to take the owners on our journey, particularly owners that have been with us. Of our original 5 houses in Hahe and the Carmandel, they're all still with us. And a lot of those houses have not been upgraded over time. So we have a real battle on our hands to take some of the original houses and move them on a journey, or what we call move them to the departure lounge, where it's time to move on and split. So the underpinning our Find Your Happy Place are our 4 core values, and you'll see come through: balance, wisdom, magic, local, host, and meticulous. In everything we do, we always remind ourselves of these values and how we bring it alive. Underneath those core values, we have attributes, behaviors, and headspace. It's just things that resonate and remind us what we're about. So things like headspace, we have something called Get Shit Done, or GSD. And that's a reminder, like 80% is enough. Don't go for the 100%. It's kind of the team's reminder to me, because I'm a perfectionist and I don't want to do anything half-assed. So sometimes we just have to let go of everything being perfect. We've got another value of relentlessly resourceful. As you grow, it's easy for people to say you've got the resources, and we want to stay true to where we came from. And it's just a reminder, no, you don't need that extra fax machine. No, we don't really need a printer. No, we can make do with that. And we just keep reminding ourselves to say relentlessly resourceful. To bring it alive, we've got a brand book which goes through all the different components and what it means. We then take that brand book and it gets translated into a communication guide. The communication guide, I guess, gives people the tone and manner and how we communicate. What we communicate comes from our values. How we communicate comes from our communications guide. We now even have a guide to bringing on the A-team, since we weren't being brave enough to stay true to who we are, and we make personal connections in the interview process that don't necessarily get us to the place that we want to be. So we've now got a guide to the A-team. We've been very purposeful. Our email templates have all been redesigned, the way we answer the phone. You'll see it when I show examples of our office, the T-shirts that we wear, the branding of the car, the materials that we put in the house, our house signs. It's everything, and it's throughout the business now. I guess the nice thing is when you have a strong sense of purpose and a strong brand, and you bring on a strong team, the strong team enables you to scale. And it lives beyond one person, and it can live beyond me as the founder. And now in the business, and some of the videos I'll show you, I haven't even been involved and haven't even known they existed. So it gets embedded in the fabric and the very essence of what the company is about. And it's owned by no one, but it's owned by everyone. And enables the team to bring on even a better team, and enables the team to co-create and then create with more purpose and create more stories that are aligned to helping people find their happy place. So with that, I think I might just take you through some of the visuals. That was my happy place in Hahe in the Carmandel. We bought that quite young in our life stage. The kids were only 1 and 2 at the time. We sold it about 8 years ago, and it's a source of contention between my husband and I, because I regret selling it. It's a beachfront in a town that only has 15 beachfront houses, and it's one of those things you never get back once you sell. But that's been the inspiration for me and my happy place. These are the original words from the strategic plan back in 2004, and I think you'll see that we've stayed true to it along the way. So it says, Bachcare will be governed by a strong sense of vision, including the values upon which our company is based, our mission and our purpose. We'll pursue our vision with relentless and single-minded focus. The sources of competitive advantage was brand, our agent network, as we call them, or our holiday managers, our support office, and our technology. And as I said, they still ring true. And we go back to this every couple of years, and it hasn't really changed. We've got 15 years of strong brand to unify us. From the very beginning, brand has always been important. And the very first website that was created, we were about to launch, and I didn't like it, so I threw it away and started again. These are just some journeys of where the brand has evolved from the very beginning in 2004 to a major change in 2009, and then to a rebranding in 2017, last year and a half ago. So we've gone from it's all taken care of in the middle in 2009 to now find your happy place. We're really consistent online. So whether you go onto our main page, our mobile page, our Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you'll see the same consistent look and feel. Even if you go onto the various, my individual LinkedIn page or people in the company, we provide banners of different images of finding your happy place, and everyone can just choose which image they want. Those images are available as screensavers in the office, so you're just always seeing a rotation. We are blessed with amazing imagery in New Zealand, and I feel incredibly lucky and humbled by the company and everywhere I go, because it's amazing. We then have consistency offline. So the cars on the right, the first one is a Bachcare car. It's for a salesperson that's based down in Queenstown, but those other cars are our holiday managers. These are their cars that they want branded, that we don't pay for. And that's what happens when you get a really strong sense of engagement. And if they leave within 6 months of us putting the brand on the car, they have to pay us back. That's the house sign, so it's another happy place. We put those on the houses to identify so the guests know where they are. And obviously, once again, it helps with branding in the local community. I think we all have challenges in that people are busy in their city lives to afford their holiday home. And when they're in the area, they're not really receptive to marketing messages because they're just enjoying themselves. Yet when they're in their city lives, they're busy trying to afford and run around like crazy trying to afford the second home. So how do you get the brand out there? And we do a lot of local marketing. And then there's just a printout, once again, with the same tone and manner. This was a very original brand. My husband and I did some visioning on a whiteboard, and you can see back then we've changed a little bit on the values, but we've stayed true. So it was magic, host, local, meticulous. In the middle, if you can see, the feeling that we said, and I think you can all relate to that, is ringmaster. It's leader of the, it's like being the leader of the circus. And there's so many different players between the homeowners and the guests and what they want. Giving you more time to read. Okay, so this is how it's evolved to today. So we've got the core four values being the balanced wisdom, magic, local, host, and meticulous. It then drives attitudes and behaviors so that we can bring on the A team. We focus on our big five, which are the 5 core operating principles or strategic imperatives each year, and that we're very focused on ensuring that we deliver. You then have brand-aligned design and communication. If you do all that, you help people find their happy place. If you help people find your happy place, you're building an amazing, iconic Kiwi company. If you build the iconic Kiwi company, you then live by your values, and it just reinforces itself. So this is this happy place feeling. Everyone has a different feeling, but you know when you felt it. And we want people to have the warm, tingly feel, whatever house you want, whatever state you're in. And that, yeah, we have there's a lot of people in our company that have dogs, so we've got a closed user group that we call R Makers, because we make the R for our owners and our guests and our holiday managers, and there's always pictures of dogs being posted on R Makers. So these are just examples. Amy and I got into quite a deep discussion after VRMA, going through these brand guide books. I guess they're the heart of what we do, and there's been a lot of thought that's gone into each of these. So on the left is just the cover of our brand DNA, and then the right is the cover for our guide to getting communication right. So once again, what you say and how you say it becomes incredibly important. These are just some examples of some of the team. This is our support office team, so bringing on the A team in the support office. We're very purposeful of what we do. We have a people manager, didn't call it an HR manager, people manager about a year and a half ago. She changed her title without asking me to people and culture manager, and she's been responsible for driving. She has a budget, and I don't, to be honest, don't really know all the different initiatives she does. Every once in a while she'll mention it to me. Actually, the photo on the upper left, she brings in baked goodies every month for the birthdays of the people that have birthdays that month. This is, oops, went too far. Looks like I deleted it. These are some photos that have come off of OurMakers, our internal Facebook group. So the photo right in the middle is a picture of a holiday manager waiting for the guests to arrive. We meet guests on arrival, and we meet guests on departure. It's part of the personal experience that we believe in. So when you have 150,000 guests across the country, often people don't arrive at the time they say they're going to be. So we often have pictures like this appearing in these amazing spots. Because of our size and scale, we have FMCG companies working with us. So at the moment, there's beer in all the houses, compliments of one of the local breweries, and we get paid for that as well. They only have to deal with one company, and we can distribute it across the country. We've done product placements with food companies. We've done promos with supermarkets, get a voucher, get a holiday, and it's really easy to organize when you have one place and then all these teams around the country. And what's really good for the companies is they know they can get a consistent experience on their brand. Dogs, I think these were the guests' dogs. On the lower left-hand side, that's a picture of our holiday manager team in the Southern Lakes, Queenstown, Wanaka, which is some of the most amazing scenery in the country. They just get together as a team once a month for coffee, and they just swap stories. So it's the community helping each other. They're all isolated, working on their own, yet they're all there to support each other. Some nice stories, and then just people on the upper right is some training that we were doing for new holiday managers. So the lady on the very right in the black tank top, she's what we call a regional service coordinator, or a super holiday manager. She's been with us about 8 years, manages about 25 houses, 30 houses in Arrowtown, outside of Queenstown. She started out part-time. She owned a face painting business at the time and worked in the local library. And along the way, as it grew from 2 houses to 5 houses to 10, she had to make a decision. Did she stop the face painting business? Did she stop the library? Did she go full-time? And obviously, 8 years later, she got rid of all the other ancillary jobs. She now has a team of 3 or 4 working for her, and it's her responsibility. And now she's been elevated even more to be a super holiday manager, and she is the frontline support for the South Island holiday managers. If they get stuck or have a problem, they can call her. And our holiday managers are trained to be on call 7 days a week. During hours, after hours, it doesn't matter. And they're just in the zone of living in these tourist communities. The person on the left in the black t-shirt is our operations coordinator from Auckland. So she does all the hiring. And we have more than one service coordinator. So a regional service coordinator and someone from the support office will go down in location to train the teams. The office is branded. On the wall is Find Your Happy Place. We've got glass windows and doors that have some of our icons, and they reflect in the light, and it's kind of like it's just dancing on the wooden floors below, and it's just a bit of the fun of the brand and a little bit of the cheekiness of the brand. It's about 4 in the morning in New Zealand, so I think the slide projector is on New Zealand time. So that's Elinette. She's one of our holiday managers in Auckland. We have a few in urban areas. We've just started expanding into urban. We bought an urban property management company in Christchurch. It's proving quite challenging and very different for us. In that business, 40% of their bookings are one-night stays, and we have a minimum of 2-night stays. So we're just getting our heads around it. But we provide T-shirts in 2 different styles for different figures. We've got slim-fitting ones. We've got fuller fitting ones, and it's up to the holiday manager which ones they want, and we provide 2 every year to them. This year we're going to, a few years ago we branded doggy covers for the winter time, and they were a big hit, so we're going to go back this year and give more doggy covers for the winter time. This is a video for the equivalent of our July 4th.
Kia ora. In honour of our beautiful country and our multicultural society, we think it's really important to give it a go and try to pronounce Māori place names correctly. So here's some of our team giving it a shot.
Whangapōua, Matarangi, Koautunua, Opito.
A big hello from the beautiful Whangapoa. And just down the coast we've got Matarangi, Kuatunu, Opito Bay and Whitianga.
Whangamata.
Whangamata.
Papamoa.
Welcome to Papamoa.
Rotorua.
Kia ora from beautiful Rotorua.
Tauponuiatia.
Kia ora from sunny Lake Taupo.
Te Anau, Manapuri.
Hi and welcome to the majestic Southern Lakes, where across those mountains we have Te Anau and Manapuri.
So this video was put together by our People and Culture Manager for Waitangi Day, which is the equivalent of Independence Day. She was really nervous when she told me about it. She sent it to the leadership team and said, I've been working on this, what do you think? It was amazing. And these are the things that happens when you have a powerful brand and a people that believe in the culture and what the business stands for. I thought I'd just walk you through a few of our Facebook posts. We have found that wine, babies, and animals resonate really well for our group. Our Facebook page is particularly predominantly women, while our EDMs or our electronic marketing is more 50-50 on who makes the decision. So our wine posts on a Friday, so every Friday it's kind of the Escape Friday post, start of the weekend, and these wine ones do incredibly well. We tried to play on the Kiwiness, and once again, I was not involved in any of this. Our marketing team have a budget. As long as they stick to the budget, they deliver the bookings we need, they deliver the leads for the new owners, they can do whatever they want. We've got a lot of millennials in that team that love social media, and Scotty has taken the inspiration of the iconic Kiwi company and really run with it, and this really engages our audience. About 15% of our bookings come from Facebook now. Sorry, that's not Facebook advertising, that's Facebook engagement from our Facebook posts. This is cheese rolls are really popular in New Zealand. There's an interesting story behind this because the photo that got taken, Scotty just pulled off the internet, and the person who took this photo got in touch with us, not very happy that we were using their image without crediting them. So it got even better. We agreed to credit them. We changed the post, and in return, these guys agreed to share the recipe. We have a lot of amazing houses in amazing locations. This is one of our beachfront houses in the Coromandel. Coromandel is where the business started, and it's about 400 of our 2,000 properties are now in the Coromandel. It used to obviously be 100%. We use some of the nicer houses as creating the halo effect. So I think off this post, there's probably about 180 bookings that got made, not necessarily on this property itself, but the inspirational properties pulls people into the site and causes them to then look through and cascade through. And when you go onto our website, we're trying to bring that happy place alive from the very beginning. And even as you go through the booking flow, there's got a little cute graphics, and it makes you feel like you're on holiday from the beginning on every page in the site. I think this was a competition we did. Obviously, Queenstown is a pretty amazing place with some amazing scenery. The owner donated the house. We had a winery donate a lunch and some wine, and there was an activity that was also provided. I think this one post reached 55,000 people, and we had over 12,000 new email addresses to add as a result of the campaign, and it cost us nothing. This is some of the in-house marketing materials. Once again, it's all aligned to the same tone and feel, so it is authentic. This year at the summertime, so we're just finishing up the summer, we gave people a little sweet treats. So we had custom designed cookies that were aligned to our brand that were placed in all the houses at Bachcare's cost. And it's just helping people find their happy place and have a great experience when they're in the house. That was a joint effort with a local regional tourism organization, Destination Coromandel. It was run last winter in a bid to increase the amount of bookings in the wintertime to a beach area. We had a 17% increase in bookings for that region while this campaign ran. The area at the moment is a bit down for us, so we're rerunning the campaign, and it's working. So it's an online only campaign that I believe they paid for, not us, on the video production. We've got a campaign running this summer called on Instagram, #Bachcare Summer Moment. We've got a little less than 1,000 entries, and it's just people sharing their happy place with us. So you just get the theme of people enjoying themselves, and it's really neat to see. I think they'll get a voucher at the end. A winner will get picked. Once again, the marketing team are driving that. So this is my second to last slide, and I think this is a feeling that my husband and I particularly live by, and it's governed the company, and it's by Theodore Roosevelt. Far better is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy nor suffer much because they live in a grey twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat. You know, sometimes you just have to go with your gut. You're going to win sometimes, you're going to lose sometimes, but if you know where you're going, eventually you're going to get there. So thank you.
Preston is probably the most brilliant person I've met in a long time. You want to have a seat? Grab this. You can see over the podium now. These are designed for men, just for the record. Like, the confidence monitor is right here, and you can't see it if you're this height or lower at all, so great job. So April is going to run around and look for some questions too, I believe, and I know you've got some, but the end-to-end guest experience is something, or the end-to-end experience, which includes the owner side of it too for you. What are the bookends of that end-to-end experience? Like, what is the end to the end?
It starts with the inquiries, when they call the call center, when they answer the emails, when they pick up the phone. It ends with a guest survey that they get at the end of the stay, and hopefully it starts again when they book again with Bachcare. On an owner side, it starts when they hit our new owner.bachcare.co.nz website, our new owner advisor calling them up, the holiday manager meeting them on site, all the way through to, I guess, receiving the invoice and the cycle starting again.
So one of the things that I found in your presentation that I didn't know is when there was a period that you tried to hire a leadership team, but you said you weren't quite ready to give it up. Is something I struggle with. I think it's something that a lot of people in this one room struggle with. How do you know? Like, what got you to a place that you were ready as a founder to be able to give up some of this control?
I don't know if you're ever ready. I have a very strong board and a very, very confrontational husband who sits on the board. He's very successful in his own right in a number of companies in New Zealand and run much bigger companies than me. I think the board really had a hard time, and all credit to them. We had some pretty tough board meetings. I was not a very good CEO, and there was a lot of bickering like husband and wife or brother and sister. If you want to get to where you get to and triple the size, you can't do it on your own, and at some point you have to let go. I think as females we take more and more on. We're not very good at letting go, but you can't do it all on your own, and there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so many days in a week. So it just physically was impossible to achieve what I wanted to achieve.
Was it hard?
Yeah, it's very hard, and the team still remind me. I'm lucky. I've got a great team now. I can be here. I can be away from the office, and I'm always 2 steps ahead of where the company's going to make sure that our growth plan is well laid out. So there's lots of different things that I'm working on, and I've got the space now to do that.
Does anyone have a question for Leslie? Yeah.
Talk loudly. Can you talk about the end-to-end experience for your owners also?
So the owners have multi-touch points in the company. In the support office, they have a relationship manager, and that looks after the overall relationship and I guess their income objectives and the overall experience. And then on the ground is the relationship with the holiday manager. So it's a 3-pronged approach between the owner, the holiday manager, and the support office.
I think that, too, you were talking about at VRMA about using the OTAs and the strategic placement of your properties on OTAs. You do use them, but you don't use them all the time. And you use them so your main seasons and your festivals, is that how you kind of look at it?
So I guess we have a philosophy of why cannibalize your existing core business. If you can get the bookings, you should be getting the bookings yourself, but they have a place, and we believe their place is incremental business. So it's a shoulder season for us, and it's the international market. We have a higher minimum nights on the OTAs than we do on our main site ourselves. So we have a 2-night minimum, but on all the OTAs, it's a 3-night minimum. And we find that it's a lower caliber of guests that we can't control, and we can't vet them like we do the existing guests. They tend to cause more damage, and they tend to leave the houses dirtier. So we've said we're not going to take the 2-night stays, and we push back on owners. And if the owners don't want to play our game, we're really happy to send them to the departure lounge, because there's 150,000 unoccupied homes in New Zealand, and there's someone better that can help us go on the journey of what we want and what the guests want.
That's interesting. So you have a 2-night minimum stay for your own direct bookings, but a 3-night minimum stay on the OTAs to weed out some of the
problems. And we find some of the OTAs do not stand behind their service policies. There's a lot of marketing speak, but what we experience is something different. I've instructed the team to not support damage that gets caused by the guests of OTAs. In the past, we'd absorbed the cost. And I've made it really clear to the team that we won't be doing that anymore, that if the owners want to go in the channels, they go in with their eyes wide open, then it's a very different experience than Bachcare. If they come from us end to end, we'll guarantee it, but these other channels don't always stand behind what they say, and we're not going to really wear the burden for someone else.
Anyone? Yeah.
This table all went wild when you said half your bookings come from social media. I'd like to hear more about that.
Only 15%. It'd be nice. 1.5.
Wow.
1.5. It's the accent.
It's still a good number. So what's your...
I think
it is
at
a
the end
good
of the day,
number.
whether you use OTAs or you do it direct, you pay for it. We have invested heavily in marketing and brand to get those bookings direct. So you do pay one way or another. We've just made a conscious choice to get direct bookings, and these days a lot of it comes direct. Whether the social media drives people to our page, and then it's our job once we get them to the page to convert. So we're always tweaking our website and looking at conversions and running little experiments to see what can improve. Social media isn't as good as it used to be. Obviously Facebook changed its algorithms. At the moment, if we get 50,000 on a reach, we're ecstatic. We've had some, before they changed their algorithms, that was reaching 500,000 people. That was just, it went viral and it kept going. So you can't rely, like OTAs, you can't rely on any one channel. And for us, you can't rely on Facebook or Google or Instagram like you can't rely on the OTAs, and you need to spread your risk. So we do a lot of work on our own direct marketing, our email database, and we've got different frequency that we email out to make sure that we are top of mind, and at least in the choice set when people choose to go away.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wondered if you might elaborate on how your holiday managers work. You mentioned that some of them clean for themselves, like how much autonomy they have and what their job duties are and how they get paid.
So they're contractors, so they've got a lot of autonomy. If they didn't have autonomy, they'd be employees. So they are commission-based, variable pay. There's no fixed pay and no obligation on our side. The more houses they manage, the more money they make. The nicer the houses, the more money they make. The more services they provide to the owners, the more money they make. Everything's linked with technology. So there's a holiday manager portal. We call her Betty. Betty, like all good females, is a little bit cantankerous at times, needs a bit of love, sometimes goes off and drinks a little too much and goes to sleep. So Betty is their key tool. If you organise a plumber and electrician and you buy supplies, you raise what we call a service request. So you're really in control of how much money you make. We do monitor the holiday managers, and we monitor how much they're making on these add-on services versus the management commission that we share with them. So they get a percentage of the nightly rate, and they get a percentage of the on-the-ground commission they pay. They're all in different phases in their lives. So we, in the early days, it was young mums returning to work or semi-retired couples seemed to be our model. Recently, as we've gotten bigger and we can sustain, I guess, full-time income as a contractor, we've had more couples. So we've got a lot of even 30-year-old, 40-year-old female starts and gets it going, and then when it gets big enough to support two of them, often the partner, mainly partner, husband, will quit their job and the two of them will work on it together. So we vary based on what their own personal desires are. Some have partners with stable incomes, so they only want a little bit. Some it is their primary source of income, so they want as many houses. And we monitor through NPS. If they don't deliver on the NPS and we have conversations with them and they still don't improve, we'll split the area. If they're good, we won't move them on, but we'll say to them, we're bringing in another holiday manager. So in Mount Ruapehu, which is our ski area in the middle of the North Island, we started with my house 15 years ago. And the next year we went to 3 houses, and then the next year to 5 houses, and then to 15. Joe, who's the same holiday manager from me for 15 years, now has 70 houses, a team of about 6 cleaners who's worked with her for probably close to 10 years. But she's only one of 3 holiday managers in that town, and we now manage 125 houses in that town. And we have no obligation to minimum houses they manage or minimum income or any tenure.
One of the things, NPS, for those of you who don't know, is Net Promoter Score. And it's something that we haven't talked a lot about at this show, but we need to soon. All of the large companies are monitoring their NPS, their Net Promoter Score. And a lot of the smaller companies have not started doing that yet. In fact, Carol Sharoff is here, and she actually has a lot of knowledge on this. So if you can get to her session, you can ask her. We have one more question back. Or 2 more.
Hey, Leslie. This is Kiyoung from Florida, and very impressive, your achievement. And I just have a question. You let your daily tasks to your the key managers at that point. And what is your ultimate goal? Do you want to grow further? And do you want to be a multi-destination managers?
are you going to be a multi-destination manager? What's your goal going forward? Are you going to go outside of New Zealand?
Watch the space. I never started Bachcare to be a small company. We've been really clear. I have a corporate background. I wanted it to be an enduring company. We are building a platform that we can take anywhere, and we're very purposeful about that. There's just a few foundations that we needed to tighten up as we kind of lost our way as we grew. So we're just coming out of we're still in the busiest time of the year. We'll regroup and decide where to from here. We do have a really good team now. We just brought on our first head of revenue, so we're taking the next step and getting a little more sophisticated. But certainly our aspirations are pretty big, and we think we're only a third of the size we can be in New Zealand, and we know that there are other markets that have similar dynamics, being very fragmented markets, that we think we can bring skills to and bring benefit to our owners and to the local communities.
Yes.
Hello from Australia. The videos that you made, you said you show them only online. What platforms do you show them on?
I believe Facebook and Instagram. The Waitangi one was just an internal video on just to motivate our team. We do use them on LinkedIn as well. I've encouraged the team, they haven't done it yet, to put that Waitangi video with pronouncing the place names on LinkedIn, but it's mainly Instagram and Facebook.
Actually, April, do you know what time it is? Does anyone have a... Okay, we're going to go.